Standing for Counterculture out here at Ogies Hookah Bar at 5713 Evers Road. And we were out here with Megan, and she's with the SA NORML organization. Let me hear your thoughts on the legal status of cannabis in Colorado and Washington.
Yeah, so Colorado and Washington have recently passed complete legalization in their states, not just for medical purposes, but for all purposes. And I don't know the ins and outs of each state's policy because it's regulated by the states. But my understanding is it's regulated and taxed similar to what alcohol or tobacco would be in here in Texas. I think it's an awesome move for our country as a whole. I personally am an anti-prohibitionist, period. I think that we ought to be regulating, taxing, and controlling what people are using. I think it's archaic to stand back and say that people aren't going to be using these substances, and when we're sitting at the point where we are fiscally in our society, it seems no good reason not to make some money off of what is already going on.
And so what can we do to help y'all spread the word on this?
Well, voting is very important. It's alarming how many of our people don't get out and vote, especially people my age. I'm 27 years old, and I have a lot of friends who have never voted before. It seems like a crazy concept to me because it's something I've always held really dear. But we've got to make sure every single one of our 18-year-old persons and up who are legal to vote get out there and cast a vote. I'm not sure I even care what you vote for, but it's important that you get out there, learn about the issues. And kind of to tie along with that, you can, in the process of learning who you want to vote for, you can find out which people are in favor of the issues that you're also in favor for, not just cannabis, but other issues as well, but cannabis being a big one. So I think learning who is writing our laws and who's in charge of our system is very, very important. But I think there's also a big deficit of young, professional, successful people who are scared to stand up and say, I'm a cannabis user. I'm 27 years old, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I try cases here in San Antonio, but other places in Texas as well, and I'm a cannabis user. And until other people are no longer afraid to get out there and say that, we're never going to make any change. So at some point, you just got to be loud and proud about it. And I think those are two small ways that kind of start the momentum in the right direction.
Now, in Texas, what can one expect as the consequences for having cannabis and being pulled over or stopped?
Well, of course, it's going to depend on the amount that you have on you when the officer searches you and finds it. Probably what you're talking about is a minor amount. In Texas, the breakdowns of weight are kind of interesting, but it's a 0 to 2 ounce is the range that we're dealing with for one classification of a crime. That's a Class B misdemeanor. A Class B misdemeanor you could be suffered fines up to $2,000. You could also suffer jail time. It's going to vary depending where you are in Texas, what kind of penalties you'll actually suffer. And it's also going to depend on a lot of small independent factors. What judge are you in front of? What kind of criminal record do you have? For most people who don't have an extensive criminal history and are caught with a minor amount, they're probably looking at definitely having to pay a lot out of pocket, not only for a good attorney, but fines or court costs. You may be looking at some probation time as well. I think it's more important, rather than to be educated on the punishment range, but to be educated on how you avoid getting there in the first place.
All right, well, good to know. Thanks for the tips, Megan. That was awesome. It was a lot to take in.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it. So we're here with Megan. Thank you. It was nice meeting you. And we are out at Ogies Hookah Bar for the SA NORML monthly meeting, and it's at 5713 Evers Road.